Amina. चटनी देकर के दो Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prof. We can hear you well. Thank you.
I think I have to fiddle around. I'm not so conversant with all these.
That's okay. No, I think your position and voice is everything is fine. It's absolutely.
Good afternoon, sir.
Madhvi, you can see me and you can hear me.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Pandit, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, just give us 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. I think it's another 5 minutes anyway. So that's okay.
No, I did say to Madhvi that I joined 5 to 10 minutes earlier than the normal time.
So you can sort it out.
Each time the system is different. Here the passcode had to be entered. Sometime when I don't have to use the passcode. Passcode is automatically.
It all depends. Well,
I don't know. I just fiddle around and I'm okay. You look colorful, huh, Anirudh?
Would you listen to Mike's presentation, Prof?
No, I was not opening. I'll try again.
No, it does open. It's a lovely lecture. It's really worth listening to.
Yes, I will try again.
Yeah.
He's a good speaker and...
yeah, absolutely.
I gave him a lot of material for waste to wealth, which he uses in his lecture. And I missed out my old, because I had it in my head, but I didn't have it written down. I asked him once, and why don't you send me what I told you? He didn't send me. I say, you're looking colorful.
Oh, me? Occasionally, yes.
Good, yeah.
So he's become now in the selection committee of US National Academy of Engineering.
So, but I think this time also JB missed now.
I don't know really what happens because you get the messages.
No, I didn't get the list of whom they have elected. I don't know what is the way they operate.
Maybe you can have a word. I'll talk to Mike some other time, and then since he's there now, it might be worthwhile to push JB's candidature.
Question is whether his thing is continuing, because once the 3-year period is over, then for next 3 years you cannot, or something like that.
I think there is some cooling off period, but I think this time Academy has removed that cooling off period. Academy of Sciences, at least Bangalore, has removed that cooling off period.
No, I don't know. Every society,
it's a different rule.
Yeah, different. I don't know what is the National Academy of Engineering. I was telling JB other day that Nigam is not even fellow of National Academy of Engineering. He has done so well.
He's not a fellow of National Academy of Engineering.
Huh?
I
think put his paper in INSA, but that didn't work out.
No, I will get INAE is eminently suitable. I don't think there is any issue there.
I know, but so far he is not. But the kind of papers he is publishing even today is really laudable.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why I was in the convener. I think from 1st Jan, I'm likely to be the Vice President of Indian National Academy of Engineering.
Good, very good.
So I will take up his cause and see what I can do.
You know the old story, no, I refused to be the founder fellow. Because the letter they had written to INSA when I was president really annoyed me, in the sense they said that because we are engineers, we are not getting admitted into INSA. Then I replied and said, in spite of a smaller community, the number of fellows who are getting elected in engineering is same as in physics, chemistry, where community is so much larger. Bigger. So this argument is bogus. So people tried, Vardarajan tried. I said, I am not going to change. And the funny part was later on they gave me Lifetime Achievement Award, which I did decline. It's okay.
I think sticking to your guns does make a difference in the long run.
Huh?
Sticking.
They should have said that there is a very strong argument for them to have. but not under the garb that INSA is not electing anyone.
No, that's true. That's true.
Good afternoon, Anita ma'am.
Yeah, Madhavi.
Meghna, I don't think I ever met her. Have I met you?
No, sir, we haven't met. Hello, sir. Very good afternoon.
Very good afternoon. You have to unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Kanwar.
Pandit sir has already. Meghna, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good.
This is Dr. Meghna Sanjeeva, from librarian from VES Institute, VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Chembur.
Hello, sir. Yeah.
Vivekanand College.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Anita Kanwar is the principal of VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce. Welcome, ma'am.
Dr. Kang joining at now or she's joining later?
She is joining little later, sir. She just messaged saying that she'll join some at 2:30. So we'll begin.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, we'll begin and then she can join later.
I'm all right. I want to listen.
Padma ma'am has also joined.
Yeah, good.
So I think, Madhvi, we can start then.
Madhvi, you get going now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello. How are you doing?
Ma.
I'm doing great, sir.
What is the new achievement?
Oh, nothing as yet.
How can it be? There has to be some.
Every day is a new day.
Yes, very true. And new efforts also going on, sir.
Absolutely.
Did you lose some more hairs in the recent past, Anil?
Me, no. Well, it's more or less the same. I haven't started looking at it anyway. So I keep trimming my beard every 2 weeks. That's about it.
That is the funny part. The beard grows, but not the.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. So should we start now?
Yes,
Yeah.
please do.
Yeah, please do.
Good afternoon to one and all. Our honorable chief guest, Professor Gagandeep Kang, guest of honor, Padma Vibhushan, Professor M Sharma, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Institute of Chemical Technology, Professor Anirudh Pandit, Societies, College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Mumbai, Dr. Anita Kanwar,
Madhavi, your voice is going in between.
Okay.
Either you are not unmuted properly or.
No, I think it's the bandwidth issue.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah.
Much better.
I'll start again.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to one and all. Our honorable chief guest, Professor Gagandeep Kang, guest of honor, Padma Vibhushan, Professor M Sharma, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Institute of Chemical Technology, Professor Anirudh Pandit, respected Principal, Vivekanand Education Societies, College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Mumbai, Dr. Anita Kanwar, TechVip Coordinator and Dean Research and Innovation, Institute of Chemical Technology, Professor Padma Devarajan, Vice Principal, VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Dr. Shantini Nair, members of our advisory committee, Dr. Akhtar Parvez, Dr. Sunita Barve, Dr. Sham Prasad Pujar, our expert speakers of the program, library committee members of ICT Mumbai, library committee members of VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce, and the co-organizer of this program, librarian, VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce Mumbai, Dr. Meghna Sanjeeva, faculty and staff members of ICT and VES College, and dear participants. I, Madhavi Vadkar, Senior Librarian, Institute of Chemical Technology, on behalf of both the institutes and organizers, extend a very warm welcome to you all for TechVip supported 7-day national level capacity building program, e-Shodhyatra, emerging trends and technologies in scholarly communication. With Saraswati Vandana, along with a symbolic lighting of the lamp, we seek Goddess Saraswati's blessing. By bowing with folded hands, we offer our sincere prayers. With the blessings, we proceed further with our program. To begin with, we would like to introduce you all to both the institutes who are hosting this program. Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai, was established as the Department of Chemical Technology in 1933 by the University of Mumbai. Today it stands independent with the deemed to be university status, which was granted by the MHRD in 2008 with all provisions of the UGC for funding and support as the state-owned deemed university. The government of Maharashtra granted it the elite status and center of excellence in the year 2012. The institute has been accredited by NAC with A++ grade in November 2017 with a CGPA of 3.77. ICT has been ranked among top 10 engineering institutes of India. Research has always been an integral part of ICT since its inception. The institute has a glorious history of more than 85 years, having produced many industrialists, academics, bureaucrats, Padma awardees, secretaries to government departments, directors of CSIR labs, and over 500 first-generation entrepreneurs. Some of the distinguished alumni includes Padma Vibhushan Professor M Sharma, our guest of honor for today, who is a member, Scientific Advisory Committee to the Cabinet. Padma Bhushan Dr. R.A. Mashelkar, former Director General of CSIR. Shri Mukesh Ambani, Chairman and Managing Director, Reliance Industries. Padma Shri Dr. K. Anji Reddy, Chairman of Dr. Reddy's Lab, just to name a few. In the year 2018, for the first time, ICT inaugurated the ICT Mumbai Indian Oil Odisha campus at Bhubaneswar and ICT Mumbai Jalna Marathwada campus near Jalna. The institute has also signed MOU with IIT Kharagpur for collaborating in various research activities. So this was a small brief introduction of ICT, and now for VES College. VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Mumbai was established in June 1979 with first-year course in all three faculties. It is permanently affiliated to the University of Mumbai. It is recognized by UGC under 2F and 12B section. The college has Sindhi linguistic minority status. The college has been re-accredited by NAC third cycle with an A grade with a CGPA of 3.26 in August 2017. The college has been bestowed with Best College Award by University of Mumbai in the year 2012-13 under urban area. It has also received grant from DST under the FIST scheme and the Star College grant from DBT in the year 2015-16. The college offers courses leading to graduation degree in BA, BCom and BSc. VES College also offers graduation in specialized subjects as self-finance courses like BSc in Computer Science and Biotechnology and Information Technology, BCom with Banking and Insurance, Financial Markets and Accounting and Finance. It also offers Bachelors of Management Studies and Bachelor of Mass Media. It also offers postgraduate courses like MSc in Microbiology and Chemistry, Organic and Analytic by papers as well as by research. MCom in Accountancy and Business Management, MA in Public Relations, and MA in Psychology. Microbiology and Chemistry departments of the college are recognized for enrolling students for MSc by research and PhD program. And Physics Laboratory is also recognized for enrolling students for PhD. So after the introduction of both the organizing institutes, we further move on to the theme and coverage of the program. I invite the co-organizer of this program, Dr. Meghna Sanjeeva, to introduce the theme and coverage of the program. Over to you, Meghna.
Thank you, Madhvi. Good afternoon, all. Research, as we know, is an integral part of academia and is important for the sustained growth of various disciplines leading to the progress of the society. A researcher who has conducted research in the pre-Google era believes that the post-Google research is much easier with information and technology at the researcher's fingertips. The argument made by the researchers is based on their experience and efforts taken to travel from one library to the other in search of appropriate resources through printed catalogs, printed tertiary sources, manually taken down citations, manually managing the references, among others. However, with the overload of information in this information age, there are several challenges along with the aforesaid advantages where the researcher needs to take and make hard choices. To reach the required and precise information, it is imperative to identify and adapt to the right resources through the use of appropriate technologies. There is a need for a very different type of a skill set required by the researchers in this age. Research communication is also transformed by the emergence of digital and social communications platforms. Researchers are increasingly required to demonstrate the impact and engagement through the continuous communication activities and outputs. To communicate research findings effectively, it is crucial to understand the different aspects of scholarly publishing life cycle. This includes effective search strategies, methods to communicate and disseminate research findings through academic publishing, which includes traditional publishing life cycle, as well as the newer publishing models such as open access. It also encompasses the publication identity management and enhancing the impact and visibility of the research. The underlying idea behind conceptualizing this capacity building program is to provide an exposure to the researchers about the emerging technology and tools to support research. This program will help researchers who are interested to explore the nuances of publishing and enhancing the communication and impact of their research. It would guide the researchers in their research process, that is, their Shodhyatra, to empower and equip them with several choices so that they can choose the right alternative. The program has drawn expertise from the field of academia, research, and industry to offer insights into all the latest topics of relevance, especially keeping in mind the emerging tools and technologies. The program is planned to spread over the 7 days from 23rd of November to 4th of December 2020. The sessions would be held every alternative days and we would cover the following areas: research writing, how to begin, research writing as a process, the publishing process, research tools, research ethics, enhancing the visibility of the researcher, patenting, new dimensions or forms of scholarly communication, and finally conclude with a session on good academic and research practices, a document released by the University Grants Commission, which we all must be aware of as researchers. We hope that you will find the program very relevant and helpful. We are very pleased to have the heads of both the institutes who have joined us for this inauguration. This is our third collaborative program between the two institutes. The two prior successful programs too were organized for the academic community. The organizers are extremely thankful to both the heads of the institution, Professor Pandit and Principal Dr. Anita Kanwar, firstly for approving the collaboration and secondly for extending their valuable support during all these programs. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. We highly value it. We would be glad to hear a few words from both the heads of the institutions. I would now request the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Institute of Chemical Technology, Professor Pandit, to address the participants. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Meghana. I hope you are able to hear me well.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Sir. Professor Kang, Professor Sharma, Mrs. Kanwar, Padma, Dr. Madhavi Sanjeeva, and our dynamic librarian, Mrs. Madhavi Wadkar. This is the third in the series program as pointed out by Dr. Meghana, and it is indeed a welcome initiative on part of both these institutes as well as both the librarians of the institute, because I can see from the pre-Google days, the kind of crowd which used to be there in the library and the kind of crowd which exists in the post-Google days, there is a substantial reduction in that. So the people sitting in the library who are used to crowd also may be getting feeling that they are getting lost and whether whatever they are doing is worth it or not. But it is important for them to also adopt new technologies and techniques, and this is one step in that direction. Just incidentally, the first Saraswati Vandana which you depicted and the photograph of Ma Saraswati, that is so prevalent. It is an original painting by Raja Ravi Verma, which has made the image of Saraswati as the goddess of knowledge in every educational institute. In fact, I have got a duplicate copy of that from MD College, which is controlled by the Verma families, the Raja Ravi Verma families, and I got an original copy which is on my desk. The reason why I'm telling that is when you pray a goddess with a specific objective, you have a specific intention of spreading and acquiring knowledge, or first acquiring and then spreading the knowledge. And in the process of spreading, you also acquire additional knowledge. Now, ICT has taken lead in this, and what I'm going to do is, with the help of our dynamic librarian, she has collected certain data, and I would like to share that particular data which highlights the ICT's prominent and dominant role in the scenario of Indian researchers in terms of chemical sciences. So give me a minute and I'll start sharing those transparencies. Let me see. Yeah. Are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the first slide which tells how many publications which have come from ICT and the variety of areas where these publications have appeared. The source for this information is Scopus, very painstakingly collected by Madhavi. As you can see, because it is mainly an institute dealing with chemical sciences, as expected, you can find that chemistry and chemical engineering are the two dominant areas where the research have been contributed. In addition to that, you'll find about 10% of engineering. So if you put chemical engineering and engineering put together, the total contribution is in excess of 33% of that order, as against 23% from chemistry. So when you do engineering being an interdisciplinary in nature, you will find that you'll have to touch upon many other aspects as well. So there is energy, 3%, agriculture, physics and astronomy, pharmacology, biochemistry, environmental sciences, material sciences. As you can see, which we very correctly boast of, that Institute of Chemical Technology doesn't only deal with chemical engineering and chemical sciences, but it deals with all the associated scientific streams which contribute to the chemical engineering and chemical technology. So this collection itself indicates, you see the total quantum of publications which have appeared as listed out in Scopus are in excess of 10,000. And you will see that there have been people from the past as well as in the present who have contributed significantly to this. Go to the next slide. These are the main contributors, if you see, who have been contributing to this particular research area. Professor Sekar, Professor Yadav, Professor Joshi, Professor Bandge, Professor Gokte. You will also find our guest of honor, Professor M Sharma, appearing there, as he was responsible to bring ICT in the international fora. Though ICT was known, the publicity of ICT, which was very much essential for it to have an international acceptance as well as national acceptance, I think all credit goes to Professor M Sharma for taking these initiatives. And I'm looking forward to listening to him in terms of what were the circumstances under which and the type of research which was carried out, which has taken ICT where it is today. Continuing with this particular theme, recently when Stanford University came out with the list of top 2% scientists, you will find that there are 9 scientists which have been listed out here. In fact, this list is not complete. Professor M Sharma's name also appears there, but somehow it has been listed under University of Monash. So probably because this information was collected from 1996 onwards till 2000, and at that time he was adjunct professor as well as distinguished professor at Monash. In addition to that, few others also appear who have been past alumni. Dr. R.R. Deshmukh of physics also appears there. Then Dr. Arun Mujumdar also appears in this particular list. The point which I am trying to indicate that there are more than 20 people from ICT alone which are actually have contributed, are considered to be among the top 2% of the scientists who are active in the field of chemical engineering, chemistry, as well as allied sciences, especially in the case of academic community. Lastly, what I would like to indicate out here is the results published by PLOS Biology have classified 22 scientific fields, 176, a massive survey which has been carried out. And it is necessary for us also to learn, because when Dr. Sanjeeva presented about the overload of information, see, in the pre-Google areas, when we used to physically go to the library, read the journals, and then move from one library to another library, move from one journal to another journal, we had sufficient time to digest that particular information, to distill out that particular information and find out what was precisely needed for our research. In the post-Google area, however, the information is just pouring on you and you don't have time to think which is relevant for your work, which is not relevant for your work. And you will find many a times when you review the papers which have come for reviewing, you'll find loads of information just is included, which really does not address the issue which is being discussed in the manuscript. So this is a pitfall of this post-Google area, where you are passing on the information, generating the information, but not necessarily distilling it out and choosing the information which is really required for the advancement of science, technology, and engineering. So the research communication area and the data mining part, which is exactly what these people from Stanford did, is extremely important for a new or an upcoming researcher to understand. So this is adequately addressed to this, and I'm very, very happy that ICT along with Vivekanand has taken this particular initiative to have this Shodhyatra journey, which essentially is the way you learn and the way you travel till you reach the destination. Professor Sharma, many, many thanks for accepting our invitation. And even though I have listened to you so many times, every time I listen to you, there is something new which I always learn and which inspires me. Thank you very much for asking me to be part of this introductory session. And I look forward to Professor Kang's as well as Professor Sharma's lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for depicting the research of ICT on the world map. It was wonderful to know this. Thank you once again for encouraging words. Now I request Principal, VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Dr. Anita Kanwar, to address the participants.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Gagandeep Kang, Professor of Microbiology at the Wellcome Trust Research Laboratory, Division of Gastrointestinal Sciences at the Christian Medical College, Vellore. Honorable Guest of Honor, Professor M Sharma, respected Professor Padma Devarajan, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Institute of Chemical Technology, Dr. Aniruddha Pandit, dynamic librarians of ICT, Dr. Madhavi Vadkar, and our librarian, Dr. Meghna Sanjeeva, invited members of ICT and VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce, other dignitaries, librarians, researchers, and my dear participants. Warm welcome to you all from Vivekananda Education Society's College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Chembur, Mumbai. To briefly introduce to you about the Vivekananda Education Society, it was founded in 1962 by late Shri Hashuji Advani, who was great visionary and educationist, and the society runs 26 institutions with more than 22,000 students, and VES College of Arts, Science and Commerce is one institute out of these 26 institutes. We are A-grade institution with the recipient of Best College Award from University of Mumbai. To talk about this 7 days National Capacity Building Program, both the institutes and their librarians deserve big round of applause for organizing this 7-day-long National Capacity Building Program, e-Shodhyatra, Emerging Tools and Technologies in Scholarly Communications. The topics selected by the organizers are very important for all the researchers. And after Pandit sir's presentation about the research at ICT, I have to admit that we are taking baby steps in the field of research. We have 3 subject research centers at our college, that is PhD in chemistry, PhD in physics, and PhD in microbiology. Being predominantly undergraduate and postgraduate college, research at our college is picking up now. We have developed central instrumentation facility using FEAST, that is Fund for Improvement of Science and Technology Infrastructure grant from Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and other research grants from various agencies. There are many national level universities and centers set up by government and private organizations for doing research and innovation with world-class facilities. Though facilities in terms of physical infrastructures are in plenty and digital information is exploding with internet facility available to each and every one, what is lacking is enough exposure and knowledge to use these facilities in correct manner. To access the required and accurate information while doing research, it is necessary to have knowledge of the right resources, methods, digital technologies, and different types of skill sets. Even to finalize topic for research, to communicate research findings effectively, to select right kind of journal for publishing an article on a particular topic, to prepare scholarly article, and to analyze research findings effectively, it is crucial to understand the different aspects of publishing and communicating correctly with publishers. Very few institutes impart training in the beginning regarding these crucial aspects of research. We are proud of Dr. Meghna Sanjeeva and Dr. Madhvi Wadkar, who have designed this 7 days capacity building program, keeping all the above aspects in mind and helping new researchers with an exclusive opportunity to learn from stalwarts in the field at national and international level, so that they are able to come out with world-class research. Thank you. Thank you, Meghna, and thank you all the participants.
Thank you, madam, for your motivational words. I now take upon the opportunity to request the TechWhip coordinator, Professor Padma Devarajan. She is also the Dean of Research and Innovation at the Institute of Chemical Technology, to say a few words to our participants.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meghna, Dr. Kang, Professor Sharma, our Mahaguru as we call him, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Pandit, the Principal of VES College, Dr. Anita, the two librarians, Dr. Meghna and Dr. Madhvi, and everybody present today. It's really a wonderful feeling to be part of this joint collaborative effort between ICT and VES College. And particularly so because ICT is running this program called Technical Education Quality Improvement Program, which is a World Bank supported program through MHRD. And one of the important mandates of this program is to improve quality and to also improve quality through collaboration, through either learning or through teaching. So this is going to be a wonderful teaching, learning effort between the two institutions put together. And I think it's wonderful that we are collaborating in an area which is very, very critical today, particularly after seeing ICT grow in research. We have so many of our faculty in the top 2%, but the ambition is to increase those numbers and to ensure that students who step into ICT move out, particularly the masters and the PhD, move out as people who are tuned to the concept of research. And this e-Shodhyatra, what a wonderful term that is also, is I think a perfect platform for people to really grow in this area. And if I see a lot of faculty. This is a faculty development program, which is the stepping stone for passing on this kind of development to students. So one faculty would pass it on to many students, so it's going to be a fission reaction. So I would just like to welcome everybody for this wonderful program of 1 week. And I would only ask every faculty who's present to make the most of every lecture, every interaction that they have, because a lot of effort I can see has gone into the planning, and the entire program put together is really wonderful. And I think the inauguration with two big stalwarts of the country, Professor M Sharma and Professor Gagandeep Kang, could not set a better tempo for this entire e-Shodhyatra. So with these words, I would like to welcome everybody once again on behalf of ICT and our collaborating partner, VES College. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for encouraging and supporting us. Now, we move on to our keynote address, for which all of you have been eagerly waiting. Though both of the guests of today require no introduction, since they are stalwarts in their fields and are known nationally and internationally. But the introduction to their professional journey and achievements will definitely be very motivational for our participants. So without taking much time, I request Mrs. Madhvi Wadkar to introduce and highlight the achievements of our honorable chief guest for today, Professor Gagandeep Kang. Over to you, Madhvi.
Thank you, Meghna. Professor Gagandeep Kang is Professor of Microbiology at the Wellcome Trust Research Laboratory, Division of Gastrointestinal Sciences at the Christian Medical College in Vellore. She received her training in medicine and microbiology at the Christian Medical College, Vellore, and postdoctoral training in UK and US before returning to India to continue her work on enteric infections in children. She has worked on the development and use of vaccines for rotaviruses, cholera, and typhoid, conducting large studies to define burden test vaccines and measure their impact. She also studies the consequences of enteric infections and has shown that infections in early life impact future growth and cognitive development. Professor Kang has established a strong training program for students and young faculty in clinical translational medicine, aiming to build a cadre of clinical researchers studying relevant problems in India. She is member of several advisory committees for the WHO, mainly related to research and use of vaccines. She serves or has served on the scientific advisory or strategic committee for several national and international institutions, including the Wellcome Trust UK, the DBT Wellcome Trust India Alliance, the International Vaccine Institute, and the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology. She is Vice Chair of the Board of the Coalition of Epidemic Preparedness Innovations and a Wellcome Trust nominated board member of Hillman Laboratories, which is a partnership to support development affordable vaccines for low and middle income countries. She has been the Executive Director of Translational Health Science and Technology Institute and Autonomous Institute of Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. Professor Kang has published over 375 papers in international and national journals. She is the first woman working in India to be elected a Fellow of the Royal Society. She is also the first Indian woman to be elected to the Fellowship of American Academy of Microbiology and the only physician scientist to receive the Infosys Award in Life Sciences. We welcome Professor Kang and invite her to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for the very kind introduction, Madhvi. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today and to speak to you at this very important occasion. I've been a researcher pretty much all my professional career, so that is 30 years and counting. And when you try to do research in India and when you try to do quality research in India, there are all kinds of hurdles that you encounter. Many of those are much less now than they used to be in the past. I remember going to the library and there used to be something called the Index Medicus, which was a very large document that you had to look through to figure out which were the journals in your field, how important those journals were, and how to access the information that was required. The internet has changed everything when it comes to thinking about how research is done, how results are communicated. We live in a very, very different world from the world where all our scientific journals were on paper and accessing them was a key limitation for researchers around the country. So in the past 30 years, what really has changed, and what is it that we can think about doing that ensures that our research is as well done as is possible, and that when we think about using the resources that are available to us in terms of bibliography, in terms of information technology, we really make the best use of everything that is available. I was recently on a committee that was responsible for thinking about research for the new science, technology, and innovation policy that is being developed by the country. And among all of the researchers there, one of the things that was emphasized by practically everybody was the question of being able to access resources that inform us about what is happening in our fields. When journals have paywalls, when journals are largely electronic, it means that much of the data that is available and shared is not available in real time to people who cannot access those resources. So the question that was raised was, can India do something that allows us to support our researchers, especially young researchers, in remote parts of the country and see what they can do in order to make sure that they have access to the best, latest information available from the highest impact journals. Now, why do we need to focus on bibliography? Why do we need to focus on the ability to access information appropriately? It's because when you do research, the goal of research is to contribute to generalized knowledge and advancement in the field that can be applicable in other parts of the world. Which means that if you want to be able to say that you have done relevant and important research, you have to understand where your unique contributions lie. And to do that, you have to have access to the information of what is the state of play in the field in which you are working. An appropriate bibliography can really be thought of as a platform. So all research builds on the platform that already exists. As much of an early researcher as Isaac Newton said that the reason that I can see so far is because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And that's emphasizing to us that all that we do in contributing to research, in contributing to new knowledge, really comes because we can build on old knowledge. So if we think about these platforms, I think it's very important that we appropriately give credit to those who have built those platforms for us. That's why ensuring that when we write, when we speak, when we even propose new research, not just describe the work that we have done, we have an attribution to the people who created that existing body of knowledge. Giving credit where credit is due is a key feature when we think about what we should do in terms of libraries, in terms of bibliographies, in terms of citations of research. I think moving from credit to being able to understand the sources Frequently, library scientists have a very limited understanding of why sources are important. And that is really to recognize where research came from, where citations are required. But for researchers who are seeking to build their own careers, the sources act as an important repository of information to recognize which are the important groups in each part of the world and where is quality research being done. That leads you to not only recognize what the group is doing, but to understand the context in which their research is being done. So for example, if I look at the research that I do, I study enteric infections, diarrhea, and vaccines. In enteric infections, I have a broad understanding of the field of what causes what infections in children, in adults. I have an understanding of which the leading groups are in the world. And then in the area where I work, which is really rotavirus and rotavirus vaccines, I know that there are 4 groups that I must track for every paper that they publish, because that will allow me to have an understanding of the state of play in the field in which my own efforts are focused. If I do not do that, then I am creating a situation where the research of my group and my collaborators will not be of the world leading standard that we would like our work to be. Now, if we think about what other roles can be played by access to information, I think a very important role is the idea of quality. All too often in India, when we see publications, one of the worries that I always have is because people don't read enough, people don't understand enough where their own work is positioned in the context of a field, you wind up in a situation where you think that the work that you have done is something that no one has done before. Whereas a reasonable amount of reading would have resulted in finding that this approach has been taken before and the contribution is not as novel as you think it is. So if we think about quality in research, having a clear understanding of where quality comes from, what the benchmarks of quality are, requires a synthesis of all of the information that can be gathered from the bibliographic studies that are required before we embark on a new field of research. I think an additional and critical important area is something that has emerged in the last few years. Because we are in a situation where increasingly our research productivity is measured by metrics that we may or may not agree with, whether that is the impact factor of the journals that we publish in or the H-index of an individual researcher or department or institution, I think we have been led astray to think that these metrics really determine how a person is performing. So there has been a hunger to publish more, to make sure that the information that we are generating is shared more. And this has resulted in a state where we have an increase in the number of journals that are in every aspect of science and technology, and undesirable situations have arisen where we now have predatory journals that publish anything with no regard whatsoever for quality. As a field, I think all of us have to think about how to work together to ensure that everything that we do promotes the quality of the research, ensures that we focus on what is important and not just what is incremental, and make sure that we give credit where credit is due and make appropriate attributions. Now, the field is also at a all of research is at a very interesting stage, which is driven at least partially by the pandemic. In the past 8 months or so, our world has changed completely. We live our lives on Zoom, we have meetings on Zoom, and we look for ways of communicating with each other that we never had before. So even when it comes to library science and thinking about bibliography, I think we are going to have to face a future where everything is not going to be print. We will have to look at how do you think about audiovisual content? How do you make sure that you have videos or film or speech that are also treated as sources of scientific information? How are presentations to be cited or recognized? When we think about creating bibliographies, should we be thinking about how we can support researchers best by not restricting ourselves to traditional sources of information, which is print journals or electronic journals, but also think about sources of information that are wider and could benefit a researcher in identifying what are the new areas that are being worked on in a field. So I've been thinking very recently about how I could support my younger colleagues and juniors as much as possible, students as well. And one of the things that I hope that all of you will discuss is the idea of an annotated bibliography. It is a lot of work. It makes a lot of difference if you can find in one place relevant information about a field of research with appropriate notes that tell you which are the critical areas in a field and what the contributions of a particular paper are. I know this is challenging, but in a situation where we are overwhelmed by papers every day, billions of pieces of data are generated, and you have hundreds of thousands of those, resulting in what can be construed as research outputs. How then, in any field of research, do we decide what is important, what is not important, what is incremental, what is transformational, and what are the seminal papers in a field on which we should build, which absolutely cannot be ignored. In all of this, there is a critical need for people who understand how libraries function, how information is collated to support researchers in their endeavors. Additionally, I think one thing that we do not see enough of, and I hope that you will discuss during this series of meetings or the days that you're having this meeting, is bibliographic research itself. How do we understand what kind of support can be offered that most benefits researchers in their endeavors? How do we design the studies? How do we do the studies? I think the partnership between researchers and library scientists needs to expand, needs to increase, and needs to make sure that whatever we do together so that our endeavors are fit for purpose. Our goals are aligned. Our intention is to advance science. How do we do this is up to us to decide, and I hope that the deliberations of this meeting will allow you to at least ponder some aspects of how researchers and library scientists can work together. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak to you here. Madhavi, it's been such a pleasure to join all of you, and your program looks fantastic. I'm hoping that I will be able to attend at least some parts of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your keynote address to our participants. And you have almost touched on every aspect of the capacity building program topics. It was indeed very motivational, and we are sure have ignited the minds of our participant researchers in understanding the value of research for the society, the quality of research, and also the importance of it in their career. Thank you once again, ma'am. Now, we move on to our next eagerly awaited speaker of today, our guest of honor, Padma Vibhushan, Professor M Sharma. I would like to mention here that our library is named Professor M Sharma Library for his immense interest in books and reading and love for the library. Now I request Dr. Meghna Sanjeeva to introduce our guest of honor, Professor Sharma. Over to you, Meghna.
Thank you. Professor M Sharma, born in Jodhpur, Rajasthan, is a chemical engineer and is educated at Jodhpur, Mumbai, and Cambridge. At the age of 27, he was appointed as Professor of Chemical Engineering in the Institute of Chemical Technology, formerly known as UDCT, Mumbai. He later went on to become the Director of the Institute of Chemical Technology, the first chemical engineering professor to do so from ICT. In 1990, he became the first Indian engineer to be elected as a Fellow of Royal Society, UK. He was awarded the Padma Bhushan in 1987 and Padma Vibhushan in 2001 by the President of India. Sir has also been awarded the Lumhor Medal of the Royal Society, the S.S. Bhatnagar Prize in the Engineering Sciences in the year 1973, the Vishwakarma Medal of Indian National Science Academy in 1985, the G.M. Modi Award 1991, Meghanand Saha Medal in 1994, and an honorary Doctor of Science degree from the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi in 2001. Professor Sharma obtained his Bachelor of Chemical Engineering in the year 1958 from UDCT and subsequently MTech in 1960. He obtained PhD in Chemical Engineering in 1964 at Cambridge University, returned to India as professor at the University of Bombay, and later became the director of the Department of Chemical Technology, now ICT, Mumbai. He served the institute for 33 years. Professor Sharma has been awarded with several awards, as we just saw. He has made contributions to chemical engineering science and technology. He became an independent editor of chemical engineering science at a very young age. He has taught different subjects in chemical engineering and encouraged his doctoral students from the very beginning to publish independently their work in renowned journals. Under his stewardship, the UICT got autonomy of UGC. He brought an all-around improvement in the departments of the institute, leading to exceptionally high number of PhDs each year based on the number of faculty members. He served in the Petroleum and Natural Gas as the chairman of the Scientific Advisory Committee and also in the Scientific Advisory Committee to the Cabinet of the Prime Minister. He was the INSA Council member from 1980 to 82 and also the president from 1987-88. ICT's central library is called Professor M Sharma Library, which only shows his keen interest in books and reading. We are highly obliged to have you as your guest of honor, sir. I now welcome Professor Sharma and invite him to deliver the address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Can I come on the screen?
Yes, sir.
I should come on the screen, no?
You are there on screen, Prof.
No, I'm not on the screen, not on the full screen as yet.
No, I think it will come.
Okay. Professor Gagandeep Kang, the organizers of this fantastic program, Madhavi, Meghna, fellow academics, Professor Anirudh Pandit, lovers of library. As you have been told, that in an unusual gesture of University of Bombay, Mumbai, they allowed the UDCT library to be named after me. I felt flattered for many reasons. Let me begin by saying that I adore library. I love hanging around in the library. I enjoy unstructured reading apart from structured reading. And in the chemical sciences, chemical engineering, chemical technology, chemical abstracts played a very vital role. And we had a rule in ICT library that no issue of chemical abstract can go out of the library. So even though I was on the campus and as a director upstairs, I would come down on a Sunday afternoon and read chemical abstracts in the ICT library. Even as a director, I never infringed that rule that you cannot take it out even though it is in the same building, but it must remain confined to library. Most people do not know that ICT library is the only, perhaps the only library in the country which has a large endowment whose income library can make use of in the days of stringency. I doubt very much if any library in India, including Institute of Science, has a separate large endowment. Way back in 97, when my admirers decided to felicitate me, one of my desire was major part of the money that they collect in my name should go to the library as an endowment. In the year, Diamond Jubilee year, we even created an endowment from the sums that we had collected to honor a person in the library for his or her contribution. I doubt very much if any other library in the country has such a provision of honoring a person in library based on an endowment. And every year, somebody or other from the library is honored. I started by telling you that I enjoy living in library. So let me give you some anecdotal part. The original library of UDCT was in the main building on the first floor. It was one of the unusual open access library. Unusually good collection, very good budget, beautiful breeze. And I used to sit for hours and hours during my research days. And even as an undergraduate, I used to sneak time and get into the library. So this library then got shifted to the new building. And it is now the entire building is for the library. Originally, ground floor was cafeteria, which was a bit unwise because cafeteria means you have all the burners and all. There can be some reasons for safety. Since university research plays a very vital role, let me first of all sing some praises for research in a university. The most cost-effective research globally is done in universities. You can see this whether in the United States or UK or Germany. Reasons are very simple. For meager sums of money, people work for 75, 80 hours a week. They don't recognize weekends. If you're on campus, your library, the lights don't go off at all. So university research has a kind of efficacy which has very few parallels. I've been consultant to industry for more than 50 years. I've never seen ideas being pursued with the speed with which we could pursue ideas in the university research. Because you could summon a student late in the evening or early part of the night. Oh, there's some new idea. Why don't we try it? And you behold, first thing in the morning, the person is on with the idea. So this part of research in the university, which has a strong cascading effect on the quality of undergraduate teaching. Now, teaching itself impacts research, and research impacts teaching in a very big way. So this symbiotic relationship between research at PhD level and undergraduate teaching. So you'll find engineering colleges where there was no culture of research, the quality of engineering education cannot be matched by institutions which had research as an integral part. Many people do not know that the first PhD in engineering and technology in the country came out from UDCT. And this strong library culture and scholarly writing credit would go to the first Indian director of the UDCT, Professor K. Venkataraman. And he was a brilliant writer, and his books became on synthetic dyes very important all over the world. Having spoken about the value of research, let me first say, what is half-life of a chemical technologist, chemist, or chemical engineer? Certainly not more than 5 years. So if you are not updating yourself, you would be labeled as fellow who is out of date. Even for undergrad teaching, if you are still hanging on to the old textbook, you are bereft of the new things that have come in that very area that you are covering in your teaching. So research allows you to give lectures of contemporary standards. Now, the days when we started research, because I was urged to say something about what was it like research from Professor Pandit, but they were very hard days. You couldn't import anything in India. We had to apply to DGTD for trivial things. And I will give you some real good jokes. We wanted some $10 worth silicone rubber tubing. And Pat came the reply, rubber tubing is made in India. We wanted a quick fit glass. He said pipes are available in India. And we had to write back politely saying that we are referring to this, and nobody makes silicone rubber tubing, or nobody makes those glass pipes of 10 centimeter diameter and all that. So research was very, very tough. So that brings me, what triggers research? What matters in research? Ideas. How do you get ideas? One is when you hang around in the library and do unstructured reading without the intention of catching something new, somehow they occur to you. It's like saying, there's a good old saying in UK, when you are bereft of ideas, go for a long walk. Perhaps you will capture some ideas even though you didn't intend to walk, only to capture ideas, but it happens. So capturing ideas which are workable in the time frame for the PhD program is exceedingly important. And how do you generate idea? Fortunately, in applied sciences, like in medical sciences, we get a lot of ideas from what goes on in industry. And there is a mistaken belief that if you do research of some utility, it will detract the quality of fundamental research. Just the reverse is true. The rigors of the fundamental research really become far more severe than people are inclined to believe. Real problems are far more challenging than the imagined problems. For example, trying to solve the problem of common cold. Everybody knows, but in a matter of 3 years, you can't solve the problem. So this becomes a group problem or an institutional problem. Our strength is this pair of hands with a PhD scholar who is spending a lot of the time. And the other main reason is that you can pursue blue sky research. In universities, I always say with full force at my command that we have spiritual freedom. We have spiritual freedom to pursue new ideas. But believe me, all these ideas that you pursue end up in being very useful if they were really of good caliber. Take the example of LED. LED work was driven by curiosity and look at what impact LED has made in everyday life. There are many such instances in the global context of research being done for what I call blue sky research. And blue sky research, academics have the spiritual freedom. Two, they don't have management pressure. And in the academic world, there is nothing like senior, junior, and all. The youngest faculty member can challenge the head of the department or the director of the institute based on the strength of his ideas. So therefore, we have a very different culture of research than in organizations which come under agencies. Now, I mentioned about ideas. Now, how do you get ideas? In the applied field, I mentioned to you that you look at the problem industry is facing. Therefore, it becomes critically important, certainly in applied sciences, like in medical sciences, to have a fertile link with the industry. Now, this provides a damn good pipeline also for employment. So I take you back to early days of mid-60s. First, I mentioned to you about foreign exchange not allowed. Chemical engineering in UDCT had an annual grant of 17,000 rupees, princely sum with which we had to run undergraduate lab. Now, how do you do research? So unlike industry, which had protection of very high import duties, we had to compete internationally without any patronage just because we are from a developing country. So we had to think very hard of the area in which to work with the limited resources. Here the training of an engineer comes. Engineer looks for solutions to the problem. Problems are always there. Professor Kang also referred to innumerable problems we face in India. We have to take for granted. Now in University of Bombay, to educate people in the Fort Office about the value of research and all wasn't an easy job. Less said the better. So I again go back, I will go back and forth because there are many interesting anecdotal parts which many people do not know. So library part, IIT had just come about and many journals in chemical engineering, I had to go to the IIT campus to read. But by end of 60s, early 70s, we were able to convince the university to increase the fund. And by early 70s, we had more journals in chemical engineering than what IIT Bombay had, or at least equal. Then how do you get access? Chemical Abstract was an extraordinary publication to search for literature. And UDCT had a unique distinction. I think globally, that everybody who studied in UDCT and got the first degree, each one of them went through chemical abstract. I doubt very much if you can name any other place in the world where all undergraduate students without fail had to search chemical abstracts. So our chemical abstracts were very, very extensively used. Alas, now it is only electronic version and access is confined to 1 or 2%. I'm missing very badly going through the chemical abstract, because what happens in the pursuit of structured reading, whatever abstract you're reading, you will always see something above it and something below it. And behold, you will get some idea even though you didn't plan for it. I think again, screen has changed. Vidya Rao has come on the screen, I don't know how. So how do you get the publications? You attract the journal, but you don't have access to it. Today's world is different.
Sir is on mute. Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, now.
You are, but I'm not on the screen. I think, Madhvi, you are on the screen.
So we can see you and hear you now.
Okay, yeah. But I'm not on the full, that doesn't matter.
Now we can see you.
So, InStock would supply it. I refer to Mashilkar because British Museum had extraordinary collection of scientific journals, very little known fact. So I would drop a line to him, and the post office was so good that within a week I would get the paper I desired through the help of Mashilkar, who in turn would get the paper from British Museum in London. So these are the ways by which we were able to get journals in which we were interested, which were very unusual ways. Today, these things have become extinct. But the big harm that is being done these days of only structured reading. We all say research is interdisciplinary. If you are only reading what you think you are required to read, it's not like appearing for an exam for an undergraduate course. Research has its own ramifications. So it is important to read associate literature and at times unconnected literature, so-called unconnected literature. There's nothing you can say which is unconnected. So in chemical sciences, chemical abstracts still play a very role. Of course, now you say that you can access. Look at the advantage the modern technology provides. I'm able to access every journal that I'm interested in sitting at home. And thanks to persons like Madhavi and earlier NCL librarian, I would be able to get full paper electronically, whatever I'm interested in. And they still probably get communication from me. I'm ready with 1 or 2 more for Madhavi to get these papers for me. If you are a consultant to industry, which as I mentioned to you earlier, for more than 50 years, today I make a living consulting, and I have to keep myself updated, both for the pleasure of knowledge. Knowledge cannot be robbed. Unless you enjoy reading, you will not enjoy library. You must enjoy reading, whether just as when people are interested in reading novels or crime. If you're interested in your subject and you enjoy reading, library is the place. Now, how things have changed. there was a reference made by Professor Kang on people all going for impact factor, wedge index and all that. I want to quote to you a very wise man, former president of Royal Society, who said, it is not important where you publish rather than what you publish. If you have published an extraordinary thing, even in a journal which didn't have a decent impact factor, it will get known. So this whole pursuit of every academic trying to get his citation. For example, in chemical engineering, there are many journals, not the mainstream chemical engineering journals where impact factor is lower. You will publish in the journals where impact factor is much higher and much easier to publish. Now this distorts. I don't know why this stop video, why this video is. There's some problem in the video.
No, sir, not at all.
No, I don't know why. I was earlier seen on the screen. I'm not seeing myself.
No, you are seen, Prof. It keeps on changing.
Okay, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're on. You're on. Yeah.
So this business of pursuit of journals which will give you higher impact factor leading to better H index and all that, that has become. Now what people are not realizing after seeing all this, let us come down to the brass tacks. What is the major contribution? Let me pick up one area to mention, catalysis, which is highly interdisciplinary. Chemists publish, physicists publish, chemical technologists publish, chemical engineers publish. The question is, what real novel catalytic processes have come in last 5 years or 10 years? You will find enormous number of publications, very large number of journals devoted to catalysis. But the number of new catalytic processes which have seen the real life application, you'll find it very difficult to name few. So this is something which bothers me at times. And we in the applied sciences will be always asked questions, and rightly so. What impact have you made? So let me give some examples of the kind of research we did. As I said, we had no money, so we had to work on idea-centric research. I kept on harping and telling you, ideas are key. And I also like to quote many Nobel laureates who said, thank goodness I was denied the pleasure of very expensive equipment, so I had to think very hard and come out with something original. Today, many people are publishing papers because they have access to some of the very sophisticated instruments. You can make use of these instruments, which very few people have. And therefore, you say my publication record is very good. But if you fathom it further and find out what is the real quality of that research, even though it is published in so-called learned journal with a good impact factor, I leave it to you to come to your own conclusions about this part. Now, I go back for this idea-centric research. One of our earliest paper, my first PhD was Ashok Nanda, who then later on moved to USA and controlled $1 billion per annum business. First year was a very hard job. Failures are integral to research, and failures are also harbingers of success. So one thing that establishes university research as a nerve center is that we are not afraid of failures. If we have failures which we can explain cogently, then they will also find a place in publications in good journals. We had breakthrough. What kind of money we spent? Practically nothing. And this was published in Chemical Engineering Science with no comment from the referee. And within 3 months, it was in the editorial of the American Chemical Society, Industrial Engineering Chemistry. So we were thrilled with the recognition that we got. While I was trying to establish my own position in the world of chemical engineering and taking chemical engineering from India to the global, I was very particular that my research students who think independently, they should also publish independently, and I should not have moral right to put my name. This was very unusual because these independent publications were in the most cited journals, most well-known journals, and there were hardly any papers throughout India in those journals, whereas my students who are still doing PhD found their publications in journals like Chemical Engineering Science. So, research has many facets. Sometimes you describe research as a random walk in a blind alley to say whether it is really blind. So it has many, many features in research. And research is something which becomes a passion you enjoy, and the kick that you get out of the new idea that you generated. I now have no hesitation in saying, because I don't publish papers ever since I superannuated from, except for a short duration at Monash, where they had a peculiar rule that if you declare who are the collaborators from the beginning, if they don't find their name in the publication, you may be hauled up. I didn't want my names to come in those publications for Monash, but it became obligatory on their part, and few papers came. One of them had very, very large number of citations, very large number of citations. Now I'll come to something about art and science of writing, because first of all, I must say I'm very impressed with the range of topics that this event is going to cover. Just about everything that matters is being covered. So I compliment Madhvi and Meghna for whatever you lined up. It is really something very good. So the art and science of writing papers, I want to say something about this scholarly writing. Now, during PhD days, one of the jobs of the supervisor is also to train the student in the art and science of writing research papers. And for a student, it is frustrating when drafts after drafts are corrected. I know of some cases of some research students, they have to rewrite some 7-8 times. Mashelkar is never tired of saying that he had to rewrite papers so many times. But it's part of the training. One thing I learned was in scientific writing, you must adhere to brevity. It should be so good that not a single sentence should be extra. That's the key part of scientific writing. No line should be extra. And when you write a manuscript, particularly when you are going scholarly writing for writing a monograph or book, things keep on changing while you are writing. There is no end to it. Now, in the present days, because you do it on the computer, it is much easier. In earlier days, we had to type it again and again, very expensive. Nowadays, things have become so much easier than it was in the earlier days. But let me track back for a while, because it is a little bit of a joke for many. UDCT did not have any budget to send papers by airmail. Till 1969-70, and we had to send research papers at our cost. Somehow we managed to create the budget. So we used to send a letter separately and send the 3 copies of the manuscript by registered airmail book post. It will be surely a bit of a joke. And even stationery was limited. Today, reams and reams of papers are used by research students. Imagine then and now. So it is something very unusual. So writing that, so I was given a piece of advice, because you have to keep on doing again and again. So there is always this advice which has struck me all my life: let best not be the enemy of good. You will never be completely satisfied with any manuscript you might write. And you have to terminate at some stage. So I was told when I was revising our book manuscript again and again and again, very frustrating. I was told that, look, you should come to a conclusion. And the best way is to say that let best not be the enemy of good. And I kept an acronym for this, BEG, BEG. So this is the way I would advise people. First of all, they should always write some review paper to get themselves trained in terms of what matters. 1 minute, please. मैं लेक्चर दे रहा हूं, मैं नहीं आ सकता बाहर, मैं बाहर नहीं आ सकता. Sorry, being alone at home, somebody keeps on ringing the bell. Please pardon me. So this writing of state of art, every student of mine, I made them write some kind of a mini article on some contemporary topic, whether it was phase transfer, catalysis, or solid liquid batch transfer, or whatever. Some of the contemporary subjects like microemulsions and all, that gave them a training, and also they got some honorarium that was exclusively in their own name. So library is an institution, and ICT library is a very big institution. But what bothers me is when you enter the library, everybody thinks they can work from their desktop and all. And everybody says what matters in research is ambience. You may call me old-fashioned, but I still love to hang around a library, a pleasure which I'm being denied because of the pandemic situation. Library has an aura of its own. When you enter the library and stay there for a while, something happens to you. I don't have adequate words to express as to what happens. What happens when you are in a library? It's like people who like theater, and you go into a theater, you are a changed person. Imagine we teachers, as soon as we go to the podium to give a lecture, we are a different person, aren't we, Anirudh? See, so this is what happens when you enter the library. You are in a different atmosphere. You have a magnetic influence. And this whole trend of people not going to library at all, with this spacious argument that I am tracking, and the number of papers which are being Xerox is abnormally large. And people say, I will read one of these days, this weekend, it never comes when you ask. And I find the reading in the industry, even people who are doing research and development, leaves much to be desired. Even when you give them papers, they say, oh, I'll read in the near future. I say, I don't have that kind of patience, when I want to read something, I'm itching to read it. I think you must develop that. So this era of chemical abstract, in order that research students make more use, I used to jot down many abstract numbers, and individually, all research students of mine, I would give them those chits. Please go and copy, because in those days, photocopying was not available. Xeroxing didn't exist at all. Photocopying was a very complicated affair, not worth the job unless there was something exceptionally important. So they will copy the abstract I would be interested in. In that process, you will read some abstract above it, below it, or some around. And maybe you catch some new idea altogether. I can keep on talking about the efficacy of library, enjoying life in a library. It's something, even in NCL, when I used to visit, the librarian will feel disappointed if I didn't visit the library and spend some time. Now, that is the kind of culture I would like people to imbibe, that library is an institution. library has a charm of its own. Library is something which gives you strength. Library is one thing which will enrich you. And it is for you to take advantage of library. I want to once again congratulate the organizers for ICT having taken lead. ICT has all the credentials because the library culture has been very, very strong, and number of outsiders who use ICT library is very, very large. And there is a demand. Of course, it has come down nowadays. Imagine, how do you access the old literature? For example, in chemical technology, the reports, BIOS, CIOS reports, they are not on the internet. Many things to believe that before 1975 papers were published were not important, which are not covered in the survey that you make, is a fallacy. So it is important to retrieve literature, and often you find people not quoting the papers that were relevant to the papers they are publishing, which is, according to me, academically a bit dishonest. But you can pretend I didn't know. On the other hand, you also say that, oh, I surveyed the journals quite a bit. So while complimenting you again, I cannot conclude my statement without saying that I miss hanging around in the library, and I would love to do it as soon as possible. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your motivating address through various anecdotes and emphasizing on the idea of an idea-centric research. You have highlighted a very important point to take failure in our stride and improve and work upon. I think this message is immensely important to each one of us. You have outlined the earlier scholarly writing process and compared it to the current one, and also very subtly highlighted a relook at the metrics for scholarly communication. As a librarian, I am extremely happy to know your love for the library, though I have always heard it from Madhvi and all others at ICT. We once again thank you for addressing the participants and sparing our valuable time, guiding the young researchers. I'm sure all of them are charged up with your address. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. On behalf of the Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai, and the Vivekanand Education Society's College of Arts, Science and Commerce, we express our sincere thanks to our chief guest, Professor Kang, and our guest of honor, Professor M Sharma, who agreed to deliver the talk and have spent their valuable time. Their mesmerizing talks have truly ignited the minds of our participants to know the value of research and has set the tone for the deliberations over the next 7 days of the e-Shodhyatra. My heartfelt thanks to the heads of both the organizing institutes, Professor Pandit and Dr. Anita Kanwar, for their guidance and support for the collaborative programs, and also for taking time out of their busy schedules. We also thank Professor Padma Devarajan for all the support for the program and giving her valuable time for the inauguration function. After listening to the great dignitaries, I'm sure all the participants are charged up as we now embark our 7 days yatra, the e-Shodhyatra, on a positive note after this inaugural functions. We begin our e-Shodhyatra sessions from the 25th of November 2020. Before closing of the session, we would like to instruct our participants about a few important things. We have received an overwhelming response for the program, and hence to avoid disappointing the participants, we have also live streamed the program on YouTube. All the registered participants who are on YouTube can be rest assured that all the other mechanisms for attendance, test, and feedback will be taken care by our team. After each day, we will be sharing a feedback form with all of you. Please submit the same with the time frame which will be mentioned in the mail. Each participant is given a unique number and the same has to be mentioned in the feedback form. This list is accessible from our e-Shodhyatra website, and the link is also provided in the feedback form, which will be given to all of you. The prerequisite for certification are registration, a minimum of 80% attendance at the sessions, submission of feedback form, and a score of 60% or more in the test. I once again thank all of you for being there for the inaugural session of the e-Shodhyatra. We will meet again on 25th of November at 2 p.m. Thank you, one and all.
I can withdraw